Honourable Member for St. James North.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill before Parliament today is an extremely unique bill. It is a bill for the times. Certainly, in the lifetime of any of us, Barbados has never confronted such.
Honourable Member, I would wish to hear.
Yes, sir.
I would wish to hear the Honourable Member for St. James North speak solely only the Honourable Member for St. James North, which means I shall therefore not entertain any asides from other members in the chamber.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I assume I could restart.
Yes, you can.
Okay, sir. I said that this bill is an extremely unique bill. It is a bill for the times which confronts not only, of course, our country, but the whole world. None of us have lived through any war with guns. But certainly, sir, this is equivalent to a war with guns, except there are no guns and except we have tremendous social and economic dislocation within all of our constituencies, our communities, and the whole country. I mean, I've heard, of course, my father speak about the Second World War and the shortage of goods in Barbados and the tremendous suffering of people during that time, sir. But this is something that has to come close to it within the context of our times. And all of this, sir, within essentially a 6-month period. As the Prime Minister, the Honourable Prime Minister said in introducing this bill today, when it first started out in December, we thought maybe this was something that would stay in the furthest part of the world from Barbados, as other recent health pandemics or health issues did. But this quickly spread throughout the world. And a government that is responsible has to act, sir. Cannot stand by and watch absolute destruction and devastation of the people whom it has been elected to serve. So the reality of it is that even the strongest supporters of the Democratic Labour Party would privately admit to all of us, as I'm sure they have done, certainly to me, that it is a good thing that the immediate past Prime Minister was not in office, because half of us would be dead by now. He would have done nothing, sir. This is a situation where any leadership, political leadership, has to act, sir. And therefore, sir, in 3 weeks ago exactly, the Honourable Prime Minister, sir, in an act of absolute brilliance, announced to the public of Barbados and to the world, sir, for the first time, that this was a concept, an initiative, a vision that the Barbados government will be embarking on. Within 48 hours of that announcement, a Tuesday night, sir, about 20 international newspapers featured her speech and her disclosure, sir. It was incredible. People WhatsApping me these newspaper articles, top newspaper articles, financial articles all over the world, Europe, America, Canada, sir, England, on this concept, sir. That is what leadership is about. Sir, and I challenge anyone, sir, who claims that they are patriotic, who claims that they are nationalistic, who claims that they love this country, to stand in contradiction to this, sir. As I said a couple of weeks ago, the party that the leader of the opposition leads, sir, is in a race to the bottom with the Democratic Labour Party to see who will also run, sir. But we are not in that, sir. We have constituents, sir. And so let me speak about my constituency, sir. I'm extremely proud and have the honour to represent St. James North, a West Coast constituency. A constituency, sir, of which I calculate 80+% of households within a particular socio-economic bracket have been dislocated socially and economically within the last 3.5 months because of a health pandemic that we had nothing to do with the start, sir. And I'm not blaming anybody, sir. But that is the reality, sir. At least 80% of the households in St. James North, sir, have been dislocated. 2,000 people, sir, without jobs in March and April this year. 2,000, sir, because tourism, sir, and if anyone thought that tourism was not a fundamental aspect of Barbadian way of life and being, sir, the last 3.5 months has proven them wrong. 40% of the gross domestic product of this country, directly and even more so indirectly, sir. So in my constituency, sir, as I said, at least 80% of the households within a certain socio-economic bracket, sir, and that is 90% of the geography of the constituency, either working in a hotel, in a villa, in a guest house, in a restaurant, when the night come playing at some place entertaining people, working on the beach, jet ski operator, sir, braiding hair, renting beach chairs, sir, selling on the side of the road, food, other ornaments, souvenirs of Barbados, sir. Don't mind Whole Town, sir, a part that the Honourable Member for St. James Central represents is just outside the constituency, but working in Whole Town, sir, in plazas. That is the reality of St. James North, sir. I don't know. And sir, I challenge any member of this parliament, sir, and the leader of the opposition, honourable leader, sir, is a 3-time parliamentarian. He represents the St. Michael constituency. But we are not far-stretched, sir, that St. Michael constituencies are not affected tremendously by tourism, sir. And even if they aren't, sir, even if they aren't, they have people, they have relatives on the West Coast. So in fact, I could say this, sir. I mean, the honourable member for St. Michael West, sir, I mean, after all, he was one of us until circumstances, he felt that he had to leave, sir. And there are people in my constituency who are registered to vote in his constituency, and I told them remain and vote for the honourable member. Well, that is what he did, sir, so that he could get more votes, rather than transfer them to vote for me where they live, sir. Why kept them by him? So they have a connection, sir. All of us connected in here suffer tremendously because of what has happened, sir. This initiative, in the erudite wisdom of the Honourable Prime Minister, sir, is brought before this Parliament to help save this country, sir, from what has been going on. People have to start working, money has to start circulating, sir. If not, rather than die from COVID, sir, there are some people who could potentially die of starvation. But that is what we're dealing with. And I'm not, sir, going to sit down here and stay silent and let people who oppose for the sake of opposing, who fighting up with another set of misgruntled people, sir, to become the voice of the opposition, seek to undermine a program. Because the honourable member said he's going to support it, but yet then sought to undermine it at every step, sir. And this takes us back to, what, just over 40 years ago, sir, 1978, 1979, when the late Right Honourable Tom Adams, then Prime Minister of Barbados, brought in international business legislation. And the then opposition party sought to undermine it and say how mafia can come into Barbados. The late Sir Richard Haynes, I could hear his speech right now because I used to listen to those debates, sir, saying how we can let in the mafia element and Barbados can be overrun with criminal elements here. And this is reminiscent of what the honourable leader of the opposition just said. You know, and the international business sector grew to become the second only to tourism in terms of foreign exchange earnings in this country, sir. Employing thousands of people, bringing in millions of money in foreign exchange into this country. But yet that is what it was supposed to do, and it was supposed to bring in a whole set of gamblers and all kind of things, sir. I'm not in that, sir. I didn't come in politics for that, sir. I came in, and all of us here came to help people, sir. And so this issue, Barbados, sir, we have an arrangement with regional institutions whereby we know who's coming in here and their records, sir. And we have arrangements with Interpol and international law enforcement agencies, sir, through that Caribbean agency, sir. So anyone, for example, who has been deported previously from Barbados, sir, and a lot of people were deported by the last government, sir, wrongfully, sir, that is the truth, for foolishness. They had children in Barbados, for Barbadians, but still they were deported for overstaying, sir. And if they attempt to come in, we know, sir, they could write and ask me as ministers to revoke, sir, and they do so. But even a simple thing like that, coming into Barbados where you have a deportation order against you, we know. So this hysteria, or pretended hysteria, because I know the honourable leader of the opposition knows better, sir, that we can get criminal elements, and all we have is a question about whether you have a serious criminal conviction, sir. Really and truly, let me tell the public, sir, is of no cause for concern. We have mutual information agreements, sir, mutual tax arrangements with other countries, mutual cooperation agreements, sir. All of this, the nation state, the sovereign country of Barbados has put in place, sir, to keep out criminal elements, sir. And the issue of citizenship by investment, well, we've stated that many times, sir. We don't have to repeat that here, that we're not in about that. Countries within our CARICOM arrangement are free as sovereign countries to go into that, sir, and have gone into that, but we have said no, that we are not going to go into that, sir, and that we feel our passport, the Barbados passport, is one of the highest rated in the world, one of the top 25, sir, and we are satisfied, sir, that we don't have to go into that, sir, but we respect the rights, sir, of our CARICOM sister countries, some of them, to do that, sir. That is what sovereignty is about. But the issue, sir, of degree of inquiry and research and study on the matter, sir, by that time, the shit's sick. We don't have time for that, sir. the Honorable Prime Minister spoke about it. First person to speak about it in the whole wide world, sir. And all the other 190-odd countries in the world could have done that. The first prime among leaders internationally in this global setup that we have now. And others following now. Bermuda and I hear another CARICOM sister country, sir. We're not afraid of them. We feel that we are competitive enough and that the Barbados brand product that we offer will come on top of all the rest, sir. Because in this country, we don't have any restriction of one car per family, for instance, that another country may have, sir. We have top infrastructure, sir. And even though the Honorable Leader of the Opposition may have sought to criticize the telecommunication network, the reality is that our telecommunication network is tops for the size of our country, the development of our country, and the population of our country, sir. I mean, sir, I don't think that is an argument that you ought, that really and truly is worthy of bringing to this Parliament, sir. As I said, I know that.
Member, I would wish to allow the honourable member for St. James North to speak uninterrupted so that I can listen attentively also.
Sir, as I said, that argument has been advanced by the other opposition parties. I didn't think it was worthy enough that the Honourable Leader of the Opposition should bring to this Parliament. Issues of money laundering, sir, as I said, don't come into play, sir. And the Honourable Leader of the Opposition spoke towards, we only have about certification, sir. You certify that you're making $100,000 a year. And that is why wisely, sir, and sir, I also have to give credit to the Honourable Attorney General for this. That is why, sir, we have in section 3B, sir, I mean the Honourable Leader of the Opposition may not have read it, sir, that he can show proof of annual income of 100,000 or more, sir. So in other words, that gives the Minister of Immigration, no, sir, George, listen a bit, George. That gives the Minister of Immigration, and through him, the Immigration Department, the ability to ask for proof if they want, sir. But we are into ease of doing business. You know, sir, one of the problems that caused this country to go down virtually into the gutter, socially and economically, under the last government, sir, was the fact that they made it so difficult to do business. And they refused to do anything whatsoever to ease doing business in this country. So therefore, we fell from number 72 out of about 190 countries in the world in 2007 to 140 on the ease of doing business index in May 2008, sir. The whole profile and thrust of this government, sir, is to ease doing business. And sir, that is what we're about. This process can be complicated, sir. Well, but by the time you get through filling the form, if you had all of these peripheries, sir, somebody gone somewhere else or staying home saying, well, this is too complex. I don't want to come and live here, sir. Ease of doing business. And therefore, sir, you also have in this act provision to show proof of income generation outside of Barbados. So I can only assume, sir, that the Honourable Leader of the Opposition did not read the bill before him too well, because he spoke about source of funds, that there's no provision for where the funds come from, sir. Well, it right there, sir, in black and white. show proof that income is generated outside of Barbados, sir. So, sir, this bill is sound. It is an initiative to help save Barbados, sir. We are satisfied that we are in compliance with international tax legislation and all of our international agreements, sir, and that is why, for example, or one of the reasons, for example, why we are not deeming these individuals to be resident in Barbados for the purpose of the Income Tax Act, sir. So, you know, sir, in their enthusiasm as to the absolute brilliance of this idea, yes, some international media said that people will be charged income tax, local income tax, sir, without knowing, sir, what's the position. And we obviously have to now pull back from that. Clearly, Section 4 says they will not have to pay income tax, sir, because if that was so, if they were paying, that is when we could get in trouble, sir, in terms of breach of our agreements internationally, sir. And as for the OECD countries, sir, so we're a sovereign country, have been so since 1966. None of us in here could speak about what the OECD will do. What we do know, though, sir, is that the international economic order needs to change, and that the order that we have inherited from pre-colonial times and which still exists today, the Bretton Woods order, sir, has to change. And that's what we're pushing for. And that's what reparations and everything else that has risen to the fore again recently speaks to, sir. But we can't speak for OECD, sir, what they will do. We know and we are satisfied on the best legal and tax advice that we are in compliance and that we are not in breach of anything, that they should come and seek to humbug us, sir. In terms, sir, the definition of non-national, sir, person who is not a citizen of Barbados, well, that is clear, sir. Well, a 6-year-old child can understand what that means, sir. That is the truth. So therefore, of course, CARICOM citizens could avail themselves of this too. Absolutely no problem, sir. And clearly that has to be so, because under our regional agreement, sir, CARICOM citizens have to be given any privilege or right of people who are outside the CARICOM, sir. National treatment, non-discrimination clause, in the revised Treaty of Sagaramas, all of that put together, sir. So we welcome everyone, sir. We don't welcome the criminal elements. If they come, sir, we will know. If they apply, we will know, sir. We will keep them out. We are not dealing with people who look into money launder, sir. We will know that too. We have things in place or to evade taxes. We're satisfied we have the infrastructure, the telecommunications to deal with it. It is not a question, sir, of our population being swamped, sir. The Honorable Prime Minister spoke this morning, and of course, this is presently, in terms of policy, being considered and has been considered, and it's continuing to be considered by the Cabinet of Barbados, sir. Population growth, the National Population Commission, which speaks towards optimizing Barbados' population by up to 400,000. In other words, just over 100,000 more within a particular period of time, sir. And every day, sir, as Immigration Minister, we are looking at that so that we can soon bring platform to Cabinet and then to Parliament in terms of new immigration and citizenship bills to play our part in this population increase, sir. Because the reality is that Barbadians cannot be inward looking. We cannot be a closed society, sir. We will not go forward, sir, and we can't be satisfied with what, 1%, 2% growth, annual growth every year, sir. And that continuing with a declining population, because the statistics show that within, in fact, the last 3-4 years, our population has declined. Certainly in the last 50 years, our population has not kept a pace at what it used to be, 2.1% growth in demography, sir, because people are getting less children and people are living older. And therefore, the support system for people when they reach senior age, the National Insurance Scheme will become under pressure unless our population grows in terms of people of productive age, sir. So those who talk about population change and we can accommodate these people, sir, really and truly need to wheel and come again, sir. The Honorable Leader of the Opposition spoke about who will ultimately benefit most from this, and select groups, sir. You know, this is the usual propaganda age-old, sir, that has been continuously used against the Barbados Labour Party, sir. The reality, sir, and I understand a bit of politics, sir, is that if you if you have a lie, get a head start of you, sir, it's hard to catch it up, sir. The people who can benefit from this, sir, is people who now don't have a job. People who, even if they're gone back out to work within the last month, sir, working 2 days or 3 days, sir, I got a lot of them in my constituency. But Mr. Hinkson are gone back to work, you know, because I call many of them, sir, canvass, sir, on weekends, come across them. So you're back out 5 days? No, I only got 2 days or 3 days, but I'm thankful for that. I'm going to make do with it, sir, because we're resilient, sir. But the reality of the situation is that when the unemployment benefit, sir, which last 6 months runs out in November or September, sir, whichever one, October, what people, we need to get people back to work, sir, somehow. So we have allowed commercial flights to come back in. Well, we never closed off, sir. And the Honorable Minister of Health has led a team that has, quite frankly, done yeoman national service in ensuring that health protocols are in place, sir. So no problem with that. We have said no to America, sir, because what? 60,000 plus people a day being discovered with COVID over the last 2 weeks, sir. We can't take that because the health of the nation, the security of the nation has to be paramount, sir. And yes, those countries, a couple countries in the Caribbean that allow them in now close it back off. That shows the wisdom of the stance we have taken on that, sir. So don't let it seem, man, you know, the rich people or the white people or the hoteliers can benefit from this, sir. I know, and I speak in, sir, as a member of Parliament for a West Coast tourist belt constituency, sir, which has been totally undermined because of COVID, sir. And government, neither government nor the members of Parliament can sustain looking after all their constituents who have been dislocated for a continuous period of time, sir. That's the reality. You're not fooling anybody here today. That's what we have to deal with, sir. They're going to be those, sir. And you know, before I get to that, the Honorable Leader of the Opposition spoke about work permits and people, implying people working here, non-Barbadians, without work permits, or without authority. And, you know, I already said in here, sir, that the Honorable Leader of the Opposition has to lead and really and truly should not be led by one of his two appointed senators in the other place, sir, because I know where that came from. But I can tell you, sir, that certainly whenever the Immigration Department, or whenever I, sir, as minister with responsibility at the present time for it, sir, gets notice that someone is so doing, sir, we act. I certainly immediately call the chief immigration officer and tell him, look, investigate this, sir. So you had an incident earlier this year with a hotel, sir. It was investigated, sir. And I asked for the file, and when it came, no, you don't have permission to work, sir. You don't have permission to work here. We don't work, so there's a process, advertisement. All right? Give Barbadian citizens, CARICOM citizens, the opportunity to apply, sir. So I don't know. But like I said, I know where that came from, sir. The senator in the other place. Sir, we are protecting, sir, in paragraph 7, clause 7, Barbadian jobs, because an individual for whom a stamp has been granted shall not engage in employment in Barbados other than employment for which the stamp is granted, sir. But that is what any responsible government would do, protect the jobs of Barbados. We're giving you the work permit for you to do the work that you had overseas. We're facilitating you, sir. And, you know, this thing, I see the other opposition party speaking about accommodations. So we got a lot of accommodations in Barbados. And you will choose according to your means and to your taste. You could go in a hotel, you could go in a villa, you could go in a rental house. You could go down by Bathsheba, West Coast. You have a choice. So this thing about the accommodation going to be expensive, sir. I'm not into that, sir. People will choose in accordance with their means and in accordance with their desires, sir. And more people in employment. As the Honorable Prime Minister said, we don't know how many people will avail themselves of it, sir. We don't know. But you have to take a chance. You have to do something. We know that there has been tremendous interest in it. That is what we know. Tourism has been asked, immigration, Prime Minister's office, other ministers, sir. And that is what we know. And I too join, sir, in praising the public officers and those others, sir, consultants to the government, sir, and to talk about consultants. We have too many consultants, but consultants were involved in bringing this. They're earning their pay. But also others who have done it gratuitously in working out, helping work out the fine print towards an idea, a concept devised by the Honorable Prime Minister. And I give thanks to them, sir. You're not allowed to call names, sir. They know who they are, sir. And I'm sure at the given times and at a given place, their names will be called, they will be recognized, sir. This is an online process, and the Honorable Leader of the Opposition spoke about delays in immigration application processing, sir, and I totally agree, sir, that used to be so. You know, take 5 years and all kind of unreasonable times to process an application. That used to be the norm in a lot of cases with immigration, because they used to ask for, under the edict of Democratic Labour Party ministers of immigration, sir, or ask for health certificate letter from Queen Elizabeth Hospital that you don't owe Queen Elizabeth Hospital, when the only time you have set foot in Queen Elizabeth Hospital is to visit somebody, and a national insurance certificate and income tax clearance certificate and all kind of things that were not required in the laws of Barbados, and we've done away with all of that. And therefore, immigration now has improved, sir, on their capacity to process applications in a more timely manner. Not, sir, perfect yet, but moving towards there. By placing a lot of these online, by getting rid of all of these nebulous requirements that were necessary, sir. And therefore, there has been an improvement. And as I said in this parliament before, sir, immigration, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many, is the most improved government department in the 2 years, 2 months that this party has been in office again, sir. So, sir, look, this process is online. It is there for facilitation, sir. We have processes to check and to do verifications, sir, and we are satisfied, sir, that this is something that we have to do in terms of bringing Barbados back as we have to where people can survive comfortably again, sir. Before I conclude, I'd like to speak on 2 matters, sir, because in here, if you can't speak frankly and candidly in here, as elected parliamentarians, you would never do it, sir. One, the issue of the Cuban nurses working here, sir. And I stand in full support, sir, of my colleague, the honourable member for the city, sir, in rebuking any country, sir, whether it's the United States of America or any other, that seeks to tell us who should be able to work in Barbados, sir. In a crisis war-like situation, the Cabinet of Barbados made a decision that we're going to bring in 100 Cuban nurses and medical personnel, sir. And there's no country in the world that has the right to tell a sovereign country that we can't bring them in and want to penalize us, sir, by some act because of 3 senators who have Cuban background and who have a problem with Cuba, sir. That is not our concern, sir. Our concern is about saving the lives of people in Barbados, about the health of Barbadians and people who live here, sir. And the Cuban nurses are doing extremely well, sir. And issues of trafficking, sir. You know, again, as Minister of Immigration, I've been written about human trafficking, and they want to now tie in Cuban nurses working here for whom we are paying, sir, you know. But they're not working here for free, we're paying them, sir. Wants to talk about human trafficking and penalizing Barbados. I don't know why countries that are big, developed, wealthy, who have their own problems, sir, their own problems, whether it's in terms of racial disunity, control of health pandemics or otherwise, sir, but have time to try and trouble little Barbados, sir, that's struggling in an international environment that is against us, that we inherited our independence based on post-World War, sir, which we had no say in the formation of these institutions and the international order, sir. And we are no threat to these countries, and we here in our little corner trying to do the best for our people and for our region, sir. And big countries that are blessed with a lot of resources want to come now and penalize us, sir. I stand fully and join fully with what the honourable member for the city said 2 days ago, sir. And finally, sir, you know, sir, I'm not getting in any fight today, whether with the honourable leader of the opposition or anybody else, sir. But, you know, when you can tackle a man on this front, you try to tackle him on another. So issues now surface in this debate about the definition of partner, sir. The laws of Barbados, sir, Marriage Act, Succession Act, Well, Marriage Act, sir, speaks towards marriage being between a man and a woman, sir. There's absolutely nothing in this that undermines that, sir. For the last 45 years, the Parliament of Barbados passed legislation recognizing unions other than marriage. In fact, not 45, sir. Henry Ford, sir. Sir Henry Ford, sir. The Sir Henry Ford legislation, 1981, Family Law Act, sir, 40 years ago. But before that, sir, you had succession acts which recognized, as the Honorable Prime Minister said earlier, succession of children, whether born in or outside of a marriage relationship, sir. Right? Out of wedlock. And you recognize common law union, sir, because that's Barbados, sir. That's Barbados. Well, my father used to say that his mother, his relatives used to say, a good Lidwid better than any marriage, sir. So 5 years common law, well, that is a marriage, sir. So where we get into this thing now about now, the implication by the opposition, sir, about now you're undermining a marriage, sir. The reality, sir, is that Barbados lets in, we have as tourists all kind of people, sir. All kind of people, all kind of classes of people, sir. Come in. We don't ask you, wait, well, you all are same-sex marriage partners, no? And stop you from coming in, sir. And the hypocrisy, and the Honourable Member for St. Peter, sir, spoke on this, and I regard the Honourable Member for St. Peter, sir, is, in my submission, sir, the moral light of this Parliament, sir. I take moral guidance from him, sir. That's the truth. So I'm not getting into this, sir, but the reality of the situation, sir, where I can't stand for hypocrisy, sir. And I can't stand for hypocrisy. And there is no way, sir, that I can be the judge of anyone. I will not stand in judgment of anybody, because the law that is reserved for the Lord, sir, on Judgment Day, and not for any human being, sir. And I always say this, sir, that Nelson Mandela, the late Nelson Mandela, who I certainly, and who I believe a significant majority of the world recognize as one of the three greatest men of the 20th century, sir. Easily one of the three greatest, sir. You know that South Africa was the first country, sir, to legalize same-sex marriage, sir. I am saying, sir, and I want to make it fundamentally clear, that this bill before Parliament does nothing whatsoever to undermine the sanctity of marriage between one man and one woman, sir. But I am saying, sir, that one of the three greatest men of the last 120 years said that South Africa cannot discriminate against people on the basis of sexual preference, and at the same time say that apartheid was wrong. Because you can't say that discriminating against people on the basis of color is wrong, but then discriminate against people on the basis of their sexual preference. And therefore, South Africa was the first country in the world, in 1994 or 1995, I think it was, that legalized same-sex marriage, sir. So, sir...
Could you all remember wine up, please?
Yeah, yes, sir. So I'm not into hypocrisy, sir. We are allowing partners in, sir. That has nothing to do with definition of marriage, sir. Sorry, definition of family, as the Honourable Leader of the Opposition was implying, sir. Nothing to do with that, sir. Family structure is intact, sir. But the reality is that this is a tourism thrust bill. That is what it's about. To try to regain some aspects in some way of an economy that depends 40% of GDP on tourism, sir, which essentially disappeared to a large extent within the last, certainly in 3 months between March and last month, sir, and with the consequence adversely and destructively on each and every community in this country, sir, because all of us are one, sir. And you can't say the West Coast or the South Coast, the tourists there, because everybody has families, sir, and friends all about this country and relationships, sir. That is what Barbados is about, sir. I stand fully in support of this bill, sir, and look forward to its successor, and I really call on all Barbadians, sir, to join with us, because we're all in this together. I'm obliged to you, sir.